Hey there and welcome to Tuesday Blues. In this lesson we're going to wrap up our talk about an effective practice routine by giving you the third component. We've already talked about the first component being warming up and just how critical that is. In the second component we learned how to get laser focused on one area and practice that. And as an example we learned the C major chord and how you can move that through the neck using the cage system. And now here in the third component we're going to take that and put it into play on the guitar. So what I want to do is devote the last section of my practice to putting into play the concepts that I learned in my area of focus. If it's a guitar technique, then I really want to play something to use that guitar technique. And in our case we learned how to use this C major chord in various shapes through the neck based on the caged system. And today we're going to put that into practice with this little strumming ditty. This is something that's pretty basic when you start out, but the real point of the lesson and the real goal is to be able to take it beyond something basic. So we start with this strumming in C to A minor, and I'll slow that down so you can get the strumming pattern. And really you want to cycle back and forth between those chords for just a few minutes, just to get you used to what we're doing. We've got the strumming pattern going and we're moving between C and A minor. Then what we want to do is move that C through our shapes while keeping the strumming pattern going. So we'll start with this shape, the regular C shape, and move to A minor. To really stretch ourselves by moving to this A shape for the C and then back to the A minor in time, keeping the same time, keeping the same chord change, rhythm, and the same strumming pattern. We're just changing the position of that C major chord, and it gives a little bit of a different vibe. That for a couple bars, but then we want to keep going. So we'll move into the G shape for our C chord, which was here if you play the full part. But a lot of times what I do in practice is just play these strings. So I'll actually finger it with my ring finger on the 5th string, 7th fret, and then bar across the 5th, and really just focus on those middle 4 strings. You can also put your pinky down on the 8th fret to get that nice high note in there. Of the that's the 8th fret of the 1st string. And then we'll move on to the E shape here after doing that for a couple of changes. We need to work in that last little shape, this D shape that we learned. And remember, we learned the full D shape. It looks like this. Very difficult to hop in and out of. It's something you should practice. But a lot of times we'll just play the real D shape. It looks a lot like this. But if you want to play some cool high-pitched stuff, in this case we're right here at the 12th and the 13th fret, so it's really comfortable to just slide into this D shape here around 12 and 13. So it's 12, 13, 12 on strings 3, 2, and 1. Okay? So what we're doing there to just kind of change things up and really call out this high chord, because everything else to that point has kind of sounded similar. You know, we really haven't changed the tonality of the C chord, but here it jumps an octave. That's definitely different for the ear. So we want to enhance that, and that's what this little strumming bit is going to do. I'm going to slide in to that C chord at the 12th fret. change our rhythm pattern just a little bit. So here's what's going on. So it's a cool way to incorporate all 5 of the cage shapes, the C, A, G, E, and D. Alright, so let me take you back through the strumming pattern. I'll play it pretty slowly so that you can strum along and watch how we move that C major chord around. Last one wasn't a C shape, it was actually the D shape. Now keep in mind that this little piece really did a lot. We actually put into play what we worked on in our area of focus. We ran the C major chord through the 5 shapes from the cage system in our area of focus in that part of our practice session, but now we actually put it on the fretboard and used it in a musical way. And that is where you get tons of leverage from your practice routine. Now you can either come up with something, a nice little strum along like I did, particularly if you're working with chords. If you're working with scales, you might want to try to write a lick using that. If you're working with a guitar technique, you might want to do some combination of chords or licks to really bring out that technique. Or there's always the great practice of learning a song that incorporates your area of focus. So I strongly want to encourage you to head back to bluesguitarinstitute.com and click on this lesson and make sure that you pick up the tab.